Hey, welcome into the St. Louis Syndicate. It's week 5 of the NFL. I'm Nate, he's Brandon, and we're here to talk about NFL Steam. Brandon, it's been a rough couple of weeks, man.
That's for real. I'm hoping everybody still has their iPhone that they haven't hawked and they're able to watch these videos.
Yeah, they probably have hawked their iPhones because if they're listening to us right now, they're not doing very well. Actually, for the Legends picks, we're doing okay.
Yeah.
That's because we have to just pick those early in the week
Yeah, before
and not
I,
think about it. And
yeah,
then
trick myself. Yeah.
when we do things later in the week and really think about what we should, we just mess up. So,
Yeah.
Ben Harper, I'm doing pretty well in the Ben Harper. You're holding up pretty well in the Super Contest. So
Yeah.
ultimately, our picks aren't bad.
Sure.
Um, we both compete in a gap league, which is basically picking every single game and gambling on it. I'm not doing so hot there, but
No.
we're gonna rebound this week. I feel like
Eight
we're
under
gonna rebound.
500. Not fun.
So we've got some games we're gonna cover today. Let's take a look at what we did last week. Last week, Brandon jumped out and went 2-1 with his stellar picks of the Vikings and the Ravens. He likes the Ravens. He missed out on Washington. I, on the other hand, only scored on Washington. I do not understand what happened to Buffalo, and I really don't understand what happened to Green Bay, other than the Vikings and the Ravens just mowed through them. And that's about all. Something called what?
For
Derrick Henry. That's kind of
yeah,
where we're at. The Derrick Henry
he
factor.
unstoppable force.
Yeah. Derrick Henry had a great game. The rushing offense of Baltimore is kind of doing a little bit about what we think it is, and it really reflected in Week 4.
Well, the offensive line's like finally getting some push. Still not great on the pass blocking side of it, but the run blocking, they seem to have gelled at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking real quick at Minnesota Green Bay, Minnesota really looked pretty good. Green Bay came back with a flurry at the end, and I can't help but think that that might just be the final piece of rust being knocked off by Jordan Love. I mean, he didn't play in weeks 2 and 3, and week 1 was his real first action. He got injured. I can't. I mean, the receivers are running wild. Christian Watson's hurt now, but Green Bay's got some talent, but they might have missed their opportunity to take it to Minnesota here. Minnesota's got a firm grasp on that conference right now, even though Detroit's running wild.
That's for sure. But I think, yeah, we got a long way to go, and it does. I read it the same way. Sit there and watch the game on Sunday, and it seemed like he was just kind of figuring out how to get his feet under him. And, you know, not to go, that's a completely faulty final or anything like that. But I think if you play that game again, um, with another week of practice in front of him, it probably works out considerably different.
Yeah, especially being at home. Now, if that was in Minnesota, I would expect Minnesota to handle them. But
Sure.
these interdivision games make a big deal when it comes down to the end of the season, even though it's week 4.
Oh
I
yeah.
kind of like how the NFL season breaks up into quarters. You can kind of get a mess. This is how the first quarter went, second quarter, third quarter. First quarter grades overall, I think Washington couldn't have done any better. The talking head pundits, man, they're saying that they're on par right now with the 2017 Patriots and the Mahomes Chiefs, and Jaden Daniels is clearly in that category, right? What do you think on
It's
that?
just a touch of East Coast bias. Um, there are a
That's
lot of
like a true
people,
Midwesterner.
growing up fans of this team and have been dormant since RG3 got his knee exploded, and got a new owner, got a new quarterback, got a new coach. Offense is whipping around. So, that's one to definitely be careful with this week going
Yeah.
against a team that, nobody outside of Cleveland really likes. Um, but they're on the wrong side of the three. So, starts to get a little scary
It does.
when you're
That
when you're
that
given 3.5 instead of taking 3.5.
that hook is a different way to play. And Washington's always been catching for like the last 14 years. So
Yeah.
now that they're getting, it's a little bit different. So we'll have to see how that plays out. So
without a
that's how we
doubt.
shook out, Brandon. I don't like how that ended because you took the cake. But let's talk about this week. We've got some good matchups coming up. Buffalo and Houston, probably the premier matchup of the week, as we look at talented teams who really have playoff aspirations. What are your takes here?
This is the game that I think Josh Allen just takes over. You let him play indoors,
Hmm.
and they are fits and starts, and we just talked about them playing Baltimore last week, and Baltimore just running through them. Houston doesn't have that. Joe Mixon's still sitting on the sideline.
Hmm.
They're going to be able to pin their nose, their ears back, and go after Stroud a little bit. And unless this turns into the Diggs game for a little home cooking, I think Allen carries him through.
I think this is a telling game for the season. I know it's only week 5, but Houston wants to be a playoff contender. They want to be mentioned with Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore, Cincinnati. They want to be in that conversation. They've earned it as of last year, and
Yeah,
now they have to maintain it. And taking it to Allen at home is really a big deal. And I bet you their head coach is having that conversation in the locker room. Like, hey guys, if you want to be elite, you've got to handle this game. That being said, I love Josh Allen and what he's doing this year. I think the Bills are really a good team this year. I think the Baltimore running game was a little bit of a blip. I don't think they quite expected Derrick Henry to eat them for lunch like that. I think they had some missed tackles and weren't prepared. Um, a little bit better tackling, and that game may be different.
without a doubt.
But I am
Because
on Houston this side because I think Houston is trying to say we're one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the AFC, and if they're going to be, they have to win this game at home.
without a doubt, yeah, this is what can set them up for kind of turning from this middling thing that's been going on the first quarter of the season to again being a top 6, 8 team.
Yeah, have to.
Yeah,
New Orleans and Kansas City. This is a little bit of an interesting one. It's our Monday night matchup. New Orleans coming off of not a great performance, and Kansas City coming off of a very injury riddled performance.
yeah.
Ultimately, the Chiefs are happy to be 4-0. I think that, Andy Reid counts W's as much as anything. They're getting a little thin, though. They're seeing some injuries, and New Orleans is probably poised to, at a minimum, cover this. Now, you're on New Orleans for this. I'm on the Chiefs. Tell me why you're on New Orleans.
For that they're not interested in winning by margin. Like New Orleans has the ability to be balanced with running and passing. Um, and as much as I love Spagnola's defense and think that, that's, quietly, because it isn't talked about all that much, even though they're always ranked towards the top, that's kind of what's been carrying them all the way back to the beginning of last year.
Hmm.
Um, but when it comes down to it, I think that they figure out how to split this between um Kamara and Olave, and they keep it close. That 5.5 is just becoming such a valuable number. That 4 and 5 that used to just be Vegas zone throwaway stuff. It's turning out to matter a lot more.
Yeah, it's changed with the going for it on fourth down more. It's changed with the field goal kickers and their legs being so much better.
Without a
Um,
doubt.
and I think that's part of the reason why I like Kansas City here. Really, it's 2 reasons. One is that they're home, and I think it's hard to go into Kansas City. I think that that's worth 3 points, and I think Butker's worth 3 points. I think when it comes down to it, the Chiefs win by 6, maybe like 26-20, something like that. Where a field goal late to ice it. Maybe they're driving down at the end, and New Orleans needs a stop, and they get it, and Butker kicks a field goal, but the offense just can't get past Chris Jones and Spagnola's
Sure.
defense. That's kind of how I see it playing out. It's going to be close. I don't see this being a Chiefs 10 point win. This is going to be it's either going to be a 4 point win, 3 point win, or a 6 point win.
Not unless Andy Reid's got something up his sleeve to deal with this wide receiving core.
Yeah. Well, he's hiring a bunch of nurses. Deshaun Watson's petitioned to be on the team. Um, oh, that too soon. Okay. Baltimore and Cincinnati. This is the last one on our slate. We were struggling for interesting games a little bit, but this one has a good flavor because the NFC North is very competitive right now, and Baltimore is clearly on a roll. Cincinnati thought they were going to be on a roll, and they just have not been able to get it going. Talk to me about Baltimore.
I think it's the run game. I think that we all went into the season thinking that they're going to be able to run the ball, and this is going to be crazy. You're going to have Lamar, and you're going to have Derrick Henry, and there's just going to be chaos. And one of the things that comes to mind is that you know I think that Lamar has to make some business decisions, week to week, and decide which weeks he's going to use his legs and risk screwing up their season. And playing in division against Cincinnati in Cincinnati seems like one of those ones where he's going to be open to risking it. And when you have that two-headed attack, um, I think it sets them up to be able to get over that 3-point line.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that Baltimore's just a little too strong this year. Although, to your point earlier when we were having this conversation, Baltimore has tended to let teams leak back in late.
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's something to be wary of. Maybe if you're doing an in-game betting scenario, it's something to watch where maybe you can middle if you've picked one or the other, and you can clean up and cover your bets on the other side. I say that because with T. Higgins and Chase running around, there could be some kind of weird backdoor cover involved here, only because Baltimore has had a tendency to take their foot off the gas.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's a great call out. Because if they get up early and feel like they're just swarming them, that in-game line is going to have to leak up, even though everybody knows and is going to be watching for it. The betting is going to force that lineup, and if you can get up around that 6 and 7,
Yeah,
there's no reason not to grab that. If assuming that everybody in Cincinnati stays healthy, you're not losing players. You're just behind by a bunch because they definitely seem like they are completely comfortable taking on the Chiefs' mojo around, hey, we don't need to cover, we just need W's. Let's not get anybody hurt. It's just coming back to bite them in the ass the way that the Chiefs aren't running into that problem.
right. Absolutely. So I know in-game line betting could be a whole podcast on its own,
Sure.
but it is something to think about and pay attention to if you watch that stuff or if you're in a state that allows you to place some bets right off your phone. So,
Without a doubt.
hey, I'm Nate. He's Brandon. We're the St. Louis Syndicate. Good luck with your bets this week.
Good luck, everybody.